historical home on Grays Avenue at 6:30. So meet at the depot at 6:30. And then after the home tour, we're going to go back to the depot for some refreshments and a short meeting. That's it.
Right.
Busy.
I assume they don't want people to park out on the street in front of, is that
Bill's
why?
house, probably. Well, there's not a whole lot of parking there either.
Yeah,
So.
okay.
Y'all can park in my driveway. I'll just
Yeah,
walk.
just go to Patty's house and walk down the street.
All right. Okay, any other reports, representatives? Seeing none, we'll move on to the reports of city operations. City Engineer, Mr. Viox.
Thank you, sir. You might have, if you've been up on the highway today at Erlanger Road, you'll notice that they were putting in the railing. Hopefully it'll be completed either late this evening or tomorrow. We are still experiencing people attempting to turn left off of Dixie Highway, even around the island we placed there, and even with the signage. So we've requested that the Highway Department attempt to do something on Dixie Highway to retard that. They indicated they intend to extend the double yellow line through the intersection, install some signage, and they may even put some delineators in between the yellow lines to retard that. But even though the intersection was closed for about 6 weeks and people found another route around it, as soon as we opened it up, people are still attempting to turn left, even around the island. So hopefully we can clear that issue. Another pedestrian-related issue, the mayor indicated that he would like me to comment on the concerns of some people regarding the additional stop sign on Nelson Road that was installed with the sidewalk project. When that sidewalk project came before the council, Mr. Bogart and myself were told by the requesters that speed was an issue there, that children and adults were walking in the street, and they needed a sidewalk. You elected to pursue the sidewalk. We built the sidewalk. And unfortunately, two subdivisions, Lakemont subdivision on one side of the Nelson Road and Doe Run Estates on the other side, the intersections don't line up. So we installed a crosswalk for Lakemont sidewalk crossing and installed a stop sign. They're about 150 feet apart. It causes vehicles to stop twice. However, when you only have a sidewalk on one side of the street, you have to get the pedestrians across it, and we know children and a lot of adults won't walk 150 feet out of the way to go to the next intersection to turn around and come back down the street. So when we designed the sidewalk system, I told Mr. Bogart about it. He went through the regular procedure of evaluating its condition, and that's why we installed the sidewalk. The street crossing and the stop sign. If you consider changing that and removing the stop sign, I would suggest you would need to remove the crosswalk and warn people to go up the street, but I would suggest it would be unsafe. This whole thing was done for pedestrian safety, and I would not be in favor of removing the stop sign. That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, the city attorney, Mr. Gatlin.
I have nothing to report.
Vicki has
Oh, I'm sorry.
For Mr. Viox, you know, when you turn onto Erlanger Road, when you're going south on Dixie, that area that's rough there, are they going to redo that, or?
Yes, we milled that off. We haven't replaced the asphalt yet because we need to install a drain that comes out of the veterinarian site so we don't have icing down in the intersection. Also, if you recall, water used to stand behind the island. We're going to regrade that so we don't have water standing there. And then we're going to resurface that. That was milled out to resurface.
Okay, thanks.
And then when the railing gets up and the stop sign is placed at that location for the pedestrians to cross and use the handicap ramp up onto the sidewalk in front of the veterinarian, then we're going to remove the remaining striping along Dixie Highway on the part that we're not resurfacing, so there's no indication of anybody attempting to cross there or no indication they can cross at that location. if we left the stripes there, somebody would still think they could cross the intersection
yeah.
and
Yeah, they will.
and make an effort to do that.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, Mrs. Fetty?
Just one other question, Mr. Viox. There were talks about a new stop sign going on the corner of Borderlands and Ashmont also. Is that moving forward, or are they doing some investigation of it?
I can answer that.
Okay.
That's been put on hold. Some of the concerns were that the stop sign was only there because of overgrown vegetation. And so we're giving the HOA some time to try to trim back the vegetation and see if that helps the issue. So,
Awesome, thank you.
that month, I think that month it's somewhere right around mid-month, or, yeah. So we'll address it again.
Jim, can I ask a question? That no left turn from Dixie Highway on Erlanger Road that you're not allowed to do, there's just that tiny sign there. Wasn't it years ago, Tank? Was
Yeah,
there
that's why we didn't
objected
do it, yeah.
to taking that away because it messed up their service? And they had just printed out their new schedules, and then they'd have to reprint more. Is this not gonna be an issue?
Is that still on their route? I don't know if that's still Tank's
They
route.
changed the routes.
Oh, they
So
did?
they don't use our lane.
They don't use it anymore? Okay. all
That-
right, I
that's
didn't know
kind
they
of-
did
That's
that.
why we didn't do it before.
Okay, yeah, that's why I
The
thought.
route now is Elm Street, looping to Erlanger Road and up Cowway.
Okay.
And they're using the Baptist Church lot for park and ride, I believe, and that's why they're making that route, instead of returning that way.
I remember
It-
that this was a lot of
At the time it
discussion.
came up before, when we put the half island in, the traffic came up Commonwealth, turned left on Dixie, then turned left again on Erlanger Road. But they don't do that anymore. And we even further discussed the issue with the lumber company because at that time, we didn't have Crescent Avenue extended to Kent Lands, so that was the only way out. They now have another way out, so there was no objection to the businesses to put the restriction on no left turn.
All right, any other questions? All right, I know Mr. Gatlin said that he didn't have anything to report. I'm not going to give him another opportunity to change his mind there. City Council Attorney, Mr. Wickman.
Thank you, Mayor. As I indicated in the email I sent out today, the property on what's identified as 315C Pleasure Isle Drive is scheduled for sale by the Master Commissioner on September the 5th, I believe. And I need to know if the President City Council still wants me and authorized me to bid on that property for the city. And if you do, I would like a motion to substantiate that.
Is that an executive session item?
It can be if they want to discuss it, yes, sir. But it's not, if they just want to approve it, they don't need an executive session.
Okay. And how much is owed to the city?
Say that again, Mayor?
How much is owed to the city?
7,000 some odd dollars, 7,300.
Just so I'm clear, if we bid the 7,300, we're really not out of pocket that money, right?
Yeah, that'll be most of, there will be a refund of that over and above the Master Commissioner's fees and the court costs. I would say you'd probably get about $5,000 back.
We're out the court costs no matter what.
Yes, if the property doesn't sell for the amount of the judgment, or an amount sufficient to pay the court costs, it's the plaintiff's obligation to pay that, and we're the plaintiff.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Vicki.
Could you tell me again how much we were going to spend? I thought it was somewhere around 2,000. Is that right? What's this really going to cost the city after we collect our money?
Probably about $2,000.
That's what I thought, yeah. I think it's a good idea.
For that price?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go for that. I mean, I do believe that the Grateful Life Center is still looking at that facility, and I think they were willing to pay somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 for it.
But it's worth a try, I mean, right?
Well, that's your decision, but, you know, obviously, if there's somebody there and bids more than what we're owed, we're gonna let them buy it.
Right, right.
We just
Yeah,
wanna,
we're gonna put a cap on it,
right,
So we just be buying it in case nobody else bids, basically.
that's correct.
yeah.
So is the feeling from council that they would like Mr. Wickman to attend?
I think we need to talk about it, don't you think? I think we need to understand the numbers, like a little more in depth. Just in my opinion, and if it's not an executive session, can we talk about it at the committee meeting? Because it's prior to September 5th.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Can we put it on the agenda?
Sure. Okay, any other questions on that? Anything else to report, Mr. Wickman?
Yes. That's my report.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, then next excuse me. You've heard the reports of our representatives and.
I don't have one.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
You're already gone, Mark.
I'm already gone. I really don't have a report.
I was busy writing here and got caught off guard. You really don't? Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Fields. You've heard the reports of our representatives in city operations. Do I entertain a motion that we accept as presented? Motion by Mrs. Sedkamp, second by Mrs. Skidmore. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. All right, Mrs. Hoffman, is there any correspondence to review this evening?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, and do we have the, Mr. Hans getting our list of citizen comments? All right, looks like we've got 3 people signed up. First, we've got Gary Wilson from Concord Drive. Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You know how they say a picture's worth 1,000 words? This is in front of my residence at 3533 Concord Drive, which my family has owned for 53 years. And I'm the current owner of that residence. Over the years, this property has flooded because that the sewage system is not able, the drainage system is not able to take the water, and there's flash floods in there regularly, okay? And so I'm just coming to make you aware of it and ask if there's something that can be done. Of course, we've been in touch with SD1, phone calls, promises. Last time they came out, they left a orange cone in my backyard where a depression is formed in the ground, and there's a substantial hole, and that's all they did. If you look at these pictures, if you scroll sideways, you're going to see my backyard covered with water, and the orange cone is covered up with water. Oh my gosh. It forms a river coming back through the side yard. Mrs. Fleek, who lives next door to me there for the last 50 years, her driveway fills up 4 or 5 foot with water. My driveway fills up 4 foot with water, and this last flood was 3.5 foot inside the house. Now, there's going to be an occasional 100-year rain, right? We all know that. I've been flooded 6 times in the last 8 years in that residence. Now, I don't know if you all have ever come up on water at night in the road that it has a mirror effect, okay? My first pastorate out in the country, we had a place down behind the parsonage that the river would get over the road, and we'd listen at night, and every once in a while you hear somebody hit that water full bore, right, with their car. This last flood happened during the daytime. If the next one happens at night and somebody doesn't recognize what's going on because of that mirror effect, we're going to have a big problem. If you have a child get out there who gets rambunctious and that water's rolling like that, you're going to have a big problem. because somebody could die in there, right? Something has to be done with that drainage. It's destroying my home, it's destroying my yard. And I'm seeking some help from y'all with this problem. Now, we can say, oh, that's SD1 or whatever. Well, they're not very responsive, and that's why I'm here, okay? Just scroll through those pictures.
How deep is this? Is this a retaining wall, like a wall to get into the garage, or what is this?
My driveway comes down like this, okay?
Okay, so you could,
That's 4 foot deep right there.
okay, so the wall's like 6 foot, wherever this is?
The wall's this high.
Okay. Not 5 foot.
And it fills up fast. It comes up over the curb, through the grass, down Mrs. Fleek's driveway, down my driveway, builds up against my garage door, and just blows through. I've spent thousands of dollars fixing this over and over and over again, okay? That drainage has to be fixed, or else it's going to keep happening. Now, what Mrs. Fleek did is she bricked up her garage door, okay? It hasn't completely helped. It has helped her. I don't want to brick up my garage door, okay? Not only does it blow over the sidewalk and come down, it blows up through the pipes in the house. Because the plumbing in that subdivision was never done correctly, okay? Neither of which is really my fault, nor my parents' fault, nor my grandparents' fault, because we've all lived there, right? There's been 4 generations live in that house. And I'm just seeking some help with the problem.
I appreciate you sharing it with us. I think that it's going to be probably more so an issue on our end between our public works and our city engineer. Try to figure out what we can do to help you.
Yeah. I hope something's done quickly, okay?
We've got your number here and your address. We'll be in contact with
That's
you.
the address of the house, okay?
Okay.
All right. And I do need my phone back.
Skidmore thought he won something there. All right. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. All right, Mr. Gary Meyer. Okay. And Ms. Jennifer Rose. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. My name's Jennifer Rose, and I'm here as a resident of Lakemont subdivision, and I'm here to address the stop sign and crosswalk that were put at the corner of Winfield and Nelson that Mr. Viax was speaking about. I've lived in Lakemont for about 10 years, and I do agree that the sidewalk was a great addition. It makes it really easy to get up and down Nelson because there was nothing to walk on before. But what I do disagree with, and I have several neighbors and friends that disagree as well, is that they put the additional stop sign at Winfield and Nelson, because then you stop again in about 150 feet. And there's a crosswalk at both spots. And I feel people could either walk up to the crosswalk that's already there at Buck Hill and Nelson, and that stop sign, the 3-way stop, is unnecessary. I would say you could compromise and keep that crosswalk there and remove the stop sign at Winfield as a compromise, and at least people don't have to stop again and someone could cross there. But honestly, since they've put that new crosswalk up, I've only seen one person there, and it's very easy to cross at the street there without a crosswalk. You can visibly see to the right or left. And I know Mr. Davies lives in my neighborhood, and I see him nodding his head, agreeing with me that I don't think it's necessary for the stop for sure.
Okay.
And I'd request that you remove it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Viax, did you say that there was maybe a further study we could do on that? Was it that?
You can send it back to Public Works, and they can talk to the police department and
Okay.
look at the traffic volumes there and decide one way or the other, but we need to, again, take in consideration the pedestrian safety.
Okay. And is that something that we could discuss? I know we've got we're building a full agenda for the council committee meeting on the 15th. I don't think it's already on there. Oh, yeah, we did say that already. That the Nelson Road crosswalk, if we can discuss that as well.
I assume that the Public Works will go through that process.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, I don't have anybody else here on the sign-in sheet. Did anybody else want to speak this evening? All right, Mrs. Dietz, welcome to come up. Ms. Dietz, I'm sorry.
I was just talking to Mr. Wilson before he left. You guys are aware that SD1 has a program that if water does come up through your pipes, they will install backflow to prevent that. That was a new program that was advertised on Erlanger's website. There was a meeting in the spring, so I'm surprised that someone didn't bring that up. That is an option for him. So I'm going to give him the information I have on up. I went to that meeting, and so if someone has water coming in, rainwater coming in through their pipes, SD1, they have a program. They set aside $300,000, the same amount they set aside for the laterals. They will put in a backflow stopper out in your yard, in your pipe, and they will pay for that.
That's great.
That's a brand new program.
Thank you. Thank you. That can at least be part of a solution, Mr. Wilson.
Why didn't they tell me?
I was just wondering the same thing, Mr. Wilson.
I know, that's terrible.
They haven't done any yet.
Came out, broke your nose, promised some help, and never showed up again.
Yep.
All right, we'll try to help connect those dots. All right, if there's no other comments, then we'll move on to bids. Mrs. Hoffman, Mr. Viox, any bids
No, sir.
to review this evening?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Then, is there any old business or unfinished business to report? Mrs. Fetty?
I just wanted to give a quick update about the hiring event. Companies are still rolling in. I put out an ad to try and advertise to all the local businesses. The ad's been seen by 7,000 people, shared 69 times, so it's definitely getting the word out. I'm getting more calls and emails every day from companies coming in. Just some of the bigger ones that we just got, Sun Behavioral, McDonald's, Children's Inc., H&R Block, the Erlanger School District will be there, Silver Lake, and then we have quite a few that are in the pipeline that are still working. One question that I wanted to ask you guys your thoughts on, I had a question from an Erlanger resident that has a business that's outside of Erlanger. They wanted to see if they could participate. I just wanted to run it by you to see if that was okay. Does that work? I mean, we have space available, so.
Well, I don't see why not.
Okay. Okay. And then another question was, do we want to open it up if there is still space available to Ellesmere businesses as well?
If you got space available, I would think.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, the more the merrier, yeah.
Cool.
That's what I'd say.
All right, awesome. I'll touch base with those people, and I appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, any new business to review? Yes, Ms. Subcamp,
I
please.
became a great aunt at 3 o'clock this morning. I'm totally exhausted because I could not go to bed till that baby was born. I had 3 hours sleep and watched 6 kids today. Her name is Rowan Faith, and I am absolutely over the top. My niece's first baby.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
It is exciting.
I think a lot of people would contend that you were already a great aunt before.
Well, I am. Yeah, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Patty. All right, any other new business? Mr. Nicely?
On the stop sign it's talking about, I think Jim was talking about, they had to walk 150 feet to get to a crosswalk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 150 feet, not much. Go up here, if you're going to do that, go up here on the Dixie Highway and start putting crosswalks in every 150 feet.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
You walk.
Mm-hmm.
Go to this crosswalk if you're smart. 150 feet's not much.
Right, right.
So I don't even know why you'd even have a stop sign there now.
All right, thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, then we'll move on to legislation. First item is an ordinance, the fiscal year 17-18 tax rate. First reading.
It's an ordinance of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, providing for the annual assessment of all real estate and personal property within the City of Erlanger, which is subject to taxation thereby for the fiscal year beginning on July 1, 2017 and ending on June 30, 2018, and providing for the payment and collection of such taxes and the penalties and interest thereon, and describing the purpose for which the taxes so collected shall be appropriated and used. In the body of the ordinance, it shows that the ad valorem tax on real property would be at the rate of $0.33 for each $100, and the ad valorem tax on personal property other than motor vehicles would be at $0.577 for each $100.
All right, thank you. I'll ask Mrs. Hoffman to please note in the minutes of the first reading. Next is a resolution regarding the CERS separation.
It's a resolution of the City of Erlanger. In summary, this is a resolution which is basically supporting the separation of the county employees' retirement system from the techie retirement systems. I think the mayor spoke on this at the last council meeting.
Yes. All right. So do I entertain a motion to adopt the resolution? Mrs. Fetty? Oh, motion by Mrs. Fetty, excuse me. Second by Mrs. Pitts. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Get that resolution signed. With that then, we don't have any other items on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mr. Nicely. All in, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.